Hello everybody. One of the most requested video topics I receive deal with scripting in Kontakt and linking Kontakt controls to elements of the GUI, the graphical user interface. For example, people have asked me to talk about scripting, wants to know how to remove the chromo tape and add their own name. And all these comments cannot be ignored. They're best embodied by this message. Christian writes, "Hello Chromo, I've been enjoying your videos." Thank you, Christian. I'm currently on a short sabbatical and I would like to look into Kontakt Scripting. How do I insert a big knob in my GUI? Well, Christian, from Sweden, let me show you. We minimize everything and we fire up Kontakt. Now, before we start, a little disclaimer. Scripting is an art, one that I am not well versed in. Oh, a piece of modesty just jumped right out of my ear. Real scripting is about using your creative and your logical skills to solve problems. The thing that I personally notice about scripting, for a small amount of effort you can reap a lot of benefits. So what I'm going to show you is not really scripting, it's a little taste of what scripting could be about. But if you really want to get into Kontakt Scripting, at the end of the video I will set you to the right path. Having said that, let's get back to business. Here in Kontakt, we double click to create a new instrument. Since this video will be devoted to the GUI, we are not going to do any sound design. The only thing I'm going to do is use these two samples that I created, the free synths Vital and Search XT, just to have a sound to work with. Click this range icon, you enter the sampling engine. To get an instrument going, I'll first open my mapping editor, where, as its name suggests, we are going to map these two samples to the right keys just by dragging and dropping them here. And we'll extend the range to match our keyboard. As simple as that. And now we have a sound. Now, I want to create a knob that will allow me to regulate the volume, the expression of these two samples, like this. And this is where the script editor comes in, which is hidden behind this tab. Clicking this tab will open the script editor. Now, the script editor comes with a lot of factory scripts that allow you to do a lot of things. But for now, we want to click this edit so that we enter our scripting console. I think that's what it's called. It's a console, right? If we click the range icon to get out of the sampling engine, you'll see that we only have the header of the instrument, this. I want to create a space for our background, our skin. For this, we need to tell Kontakt to do it for us. And the first thing we have to tell her is to switch on. Say on. Now, having lived in the UK for several years in the 90s,
Booyakasha! Check it out! Short for in it,
which stands for isn't it? And that's exactly what KSP understands. We have to say on, in it. But actually, init stands for initialization. Upon initialization, do this. Hit enter and the tab, maybe another enter, another tab, so that I feel like a programmer. And now we have to define the dimensions of our instrument. So we simply have to tell her to make a performance view. And for short performance view, it's a perf view. So make perf, not perf, perf view. Well, that's not enough because we have to tell her how big our performance view ought to be. Set, okay, underscore, the user interface width in pixels. Set the user interface width in pixels. Parenthesis, let's, I don't know, 666. Okay. And now we want the height too. Set the user interface height in pixels, also 666, and on, and the on. Do you notice the symmetry on init and on? Programming is beautiful. Click this apply to apply these commands to Kontakt. And you got an error. Make purview requires underscore here. Okay? Something happened. What happened is that we got space here, which is defined by 666 times 666. If we exit the edit mode, we created a little space for our skin. What? Can I make it 1000? 1000 width. Let's make this 400. Boom.
Check it out.
And now we have a nice space for our big knob. But before the big knob, we need to create a skin. Before we design a skin, we should create a folder where we keep all the little assets, graphical or other assets for this specific instrument. How do we do that? If we click the wrench icon, we can go to the instrument options, and in the instrument options, we need to create a resource container. In other words, a folder that keeps all these little assets. So I will create one, and we have to choose a location. I'll choose a folder that I call tutorial. Kontakt tells you that no resource folder structure was found, and would I like to create one? And I click yes. There is nothing, it's all empty, but at least we have a container where we can keep our assets. We'll come back to adding an instrument wallpaper, but before that we need to design our skin. For creating a skin, you can use any graphics software that you are used to. I'm using here Photoshop, and I want to create a file. And I will give a dimension so you know that our instrument's width is 1000 pixels and the height is 400, but 400 excluding the original instrument's header, which I think is 68 or 69 pixels. To be on the safe side, let's say 480 pixels height. Now we created this empty file in Photoshop. We can create a skin using a variety of ways. You could even go to our favorite virtual instrument library developer, Spitfire Audio, and using the Windows, if you are on Windows of course, Windows Shift S, we could, copy this in our clipboard, go back to Photoshop and paste it in, maybe place it, and now we just save this as a PNG in the folder we created, the resource container we created for this instrument. I'll name it Skin1. Great. Now, if we go back to Kontakt, we can go back to the instrument options, select an instrument wallpaper from here by clicking this folder and selecting Skin1. Open. That's it. You don't see anything because we need to exit the edit mode. But now we have Spitfire chamber strings recorded at Air Studios wallpaper. And it sounds wonderful. Now, I'm not suggesting for a minute that you should go around, copy and paste copyrighted material and include it in your instruments and distribute those instruments as your own. I'm not suggesting you do that. You know that Hans Zimmer is my favorite composer, so I want to look at the background of these Hans strings. Yes, this is a very nice background. I like the style. So let's rip this off. Copy, Photoshop, paste. We don't want the white letters, we just want the background, right? Select this and bring it down like this, and select this bring it down. Like we have a nice background. We'll save it as a PNG and we name it skin 2. Now back in Kontakt, we can hit the wrench icon, go to our instruments options and change the skin to skin 2. Let's check this out. Voila. Sorry, Hans. It's just for demonstration purposes. Like this, you can have any skin you wish as a wallpaper for your instrument. Now let's move to the good stuff, the big knob. Of course, we could play our instrument as it is with a nice skin. But the whole point is to show you how to add a knob. Yeah?
Everybody in the world reads, but it doesn't.
Yeah, I've heard.
So the reading
No, I don't like being involved in such things.
part, the hard part.
Yeah, Hans, I'm in the middle of something. I'll call you back, all right? Okay. So, the big knob. I've reconsidered. Showing to you how to script a specific knob is actually not a very good tutorial. I prefer demonstrating the principle behind the big knob, so at least you can let your imagination run wild and you can use the basic knowledge to achieve your own vision. For this, we have to understand something, that whether it's a knob or any form of animation, it only works as a slider. Although Kontakt has their own inbuilt knobs, switches, buttons and sliders, what you want to create is a slider, because the slider allows you to animate through different frames. I declare a slider. So let's just do that. Declare a user interface underscore slider, and let's give it a name. Of course, it's a variable. For this, we use the $sign, no euro, no pounds. And we name it big knob. Parenthesis, we need to tell this big knob what kind of limits it will have. Our volume 32-bit floating point or something like this. It's a million values. It goes from 0 to 1 million. I want our big knob to control it from 200,000 to 400,000. In order for Kontakt to understand that we want to get a file that will play the role of this slider, we need to create an ID. So I'm going to declare, again, a variable big knob ID. And we need to tell Kontakt that the big knob ID can be assigned using this get the user interface ID from big knob, this big knob here. So we declare the ID and we assign that ID to be that big knob. Now this allows us to assign a file to this big knob. What do we need to do now is place our slider. And the command in this specific case is set control par, and Kontakt says of what, and you have to say of our big knob ID. Alright, so we can copy this. Okay, what do you want me to set? She asks. I want you to set an internal variable that controls par position X. Okay, depends on the size of your animation, but let's start at 200. And then similarly, we can copy this, paste it below, and the only thing we change here is the X, it's the height, the Y. We just try now, okay. Apply. Did anything happen? Oh, look, there's a slider. Right, now we need to create the file that Kontakt will use to substitute this slider with our different animations. And I think this is one of the points that a lot of people get confused with, but if you grasp the principle behind it, it will make your life so much easier. We need to create an animation. The easiest way for me to demonstrate this is just to shoot a video selfie of myself using my phone. I'm not so sure how this will turn out to be, but okay, let's do it. Video. One more take. And cut. So after transferring the MP4 file, it looks something like this. I added a black and white filter and I slowed it down. What we need to do now is to create a sprite. In order to go from MP4 to a sprite, we have to first go through a GIF file. Let me show you the simplest way you can do it online. You go to your friendly Google, type MP4 to GIF. Hit the first link and then you browse and you select your video clip and you upload the video to create a GIF at 25 frames per second. We convert to GIF and here we have our GIF. Now I want to crop it a little bit, like we just save it. Now we want to turn this GIF into a sprite. GIF to sprite. We follow the first link and we browse to our GIF. We open that and we upload. We want our images to be stacked vertically. So I select the stack vertically option and I simply convert to sprite. The most important thing is this 88. There are only 88 frames in this animation. This is our sprite. It's just an image file that has this width here and it has this height. And you see, as I'm playing it back, it's like a little film strip. We shot an MP4 file, we converted that to an animated GIF, and we converted the animated GIF to a sprite. And now we're going to go back to Kontakt and tell Kontakt how to use this sprite to animate our knob, my face. Before directing Kontakt to our sprite, we need to place the sprite in the resource folder that we've created earlier. I will drop it inside pictures. But we need one more thing. We need a text file, like a notepad file. This file has to be named identically to the sprite file, the same file name. Now, if we double click and open this, pause the video and copy these settings. The file tells Kontakt how to approach the sprite. Does it have an alpha channel, which is transparency? No. How many animations, so how many frames? If you remember correctly, when we created it, it had 88 frames, our animation. So we have to insert this here. Horizontal animation? No. Vertical resizable? No. Horizontal resizable? No. Fixed top, fixed bottom, fixed left, fixed right, all 0. And the most important thing, you have to leave one empty line here in the file, and then we just simply save it. So we have the sprite file with all the frames and we have a text file. Now we have to tell Kontakt that instead of having this slider, it should use our sprite. Let's continue our trip. We can copy and paste the set control par thingy. Again, we have the big knob ID. This remains the same. The difference now is that the control par is not a position, it's not X, it's not Y. Instead, it's par picture. And then, instead of a number, we need to define the file, which is the name of our sprite. Big knob sprite. And we need to put this in inverted commas and close the parentheses, right? Finally, we have to tell Kontakt how to behave when we move the mouse up, down, left or right. We need yet another set control command. Control par mouse behavior. Right? We need to give a number to this behavior. If it's a positive number, the mouse will work from left to right horizontally, and if it's a negative, then the mouse will work vertically. And in our case, we want to mouse up or down to change the frames in the sprite. For this reason, I'm going to insert a negative number. I eyeballed it to 1200. And that's it. Let's see what we get with this. I am going to apply the script. Well, there's a mistake. Let's find the mistake. Line 12, expression expected. Where is the mistake? So the mistake is that this set control par is a string. It's the little things. Apply, and our script has been applied. Any changes? Okay. If we exit the edit mode, and if I mouse up and down. Okay, that's a little bit too narcissistic. But let's place it in the middle. You have to play with the positioning. But I find that the time I spend positioning different controls allows my slow brain to think. So sometimes I don't mind if I have to do repetitive things like finding the right position by playing with the pixels. But that's only applicable to me. Let's say 350. Maybe it's too much. Just right. Mouse up, mouse down, mouse up, mouse down, up, down, up. This is where we need to connect our slider or our knob to the parameter we want to control. To keep things simple, I just want to control the volume here. We leave this end on because we finished doing this first part. Start another command where we say on user interface control. Which user interface control? Big knob. So upon touching the user interface control called big knob, do this. And here we have to use another command from Kontakt, which is set engine par, which sets different parts of the sampling engine. That's why I keep calling it the sampling engine. So set engine par volume to the value of our big knob. Another comma, which group? We only have one group, and that group is 0 because Kontakt counts from 0. Group 0, set -1, -1. These are not things for me to explain. And let's finish the script by and on. Let us apply the script. And before we look at the finished product, a word from our sponsor. Today's sponsor is me. As a sponsor, I would like to say that the freedoms of one person end where the freedoms of the other person start. I feel so wise. And after this sponsorship message, let's go back to our Kontakt and look at the finished product. I'm going to learn MIDI CC and touch here the modulation wheel so that now I can regulate the animation using my modulation wheel. And let's see. I agree, it looks a little bit strange, but you get the point. And that's all there is to it. Now, I suggest that you go out and you try your own little animation. Perhaps you could turn this not into a piano book, but into a face book. Can you imagine a collection of instruments where each one of us has their face with the particular sound, and you can regulate different parameters of the sound using animations of our faces? I am sick. Nevertheless, thank you for watching. And Christian, thank you for the question. I hope you have fun inserting knobs in your GUIs. That sounds wrong. Okay. And thank you, Christian, for the message. I hope you have fun playing with your knob. Okay, I have to do that again. And thank you, Christian, for your message. And I hope that you enjoy your short sabbatical and have fun with Kontakt Scripting.
In it.
Now, if you want to get more into Kontakt Scripting, I'm going to leave a couple of links in the description. The first thing I suggest you do is look at the online manual of Kontakt Scripting, the KSP reference manual, where you can use the search function to search for different commands. The other link I'm going to leave is to the Native Instruments forums, where you can ask questions about Kontakt Scripting. The third one is the VI Control forum, which is an amazing forum. So many amazing people over there, and if you have questions, people are willing to help you in VI Control. And finally, I'm going to leave a Discord invite to the Discord Kontakt server run by a mythical beast, where you could get advanced advice for Kontakt Scripting. But I suggest that you use your search skills to find the answer to a specific problem, and then you can seek further advice from this amazing Discord server. All the links are in the description. As always, I hope you found value in this video, and let happiness into your life.